All right, we're here with Chris Blankenship, who edited Mr. Cab, and we're going to talk about some of the technical aspects of how you brought everything together. How are you, Chris?
I'm good, thanks. Let's first talk about the opening titles.
Mm.
They're really straightforward and simple, very easy to read.
Mm-hmm.
There really wasn't much to it, but we did put some thought into how it was stacked. And,
Yes.
you know, it cut in with the beat, and we just wanted it to be placed nicely in the negative space and not feel like it was clumsy or forced.
Right, right. I love the way Mr. Cab goes bink, and then in the second beat, aka Guru Disciple.
Yeah, exactly. It's I like that too. And it's really the AKA is just sort of a grace note on it. The Mystic Cab is really the takeaway on that.
Yeah, and even visually, the Mr. Cab is really the big. You know, they're spatially different too.
Yeah.
God, I love this.
So in this section here, I mean, there's not a whole lot of edits per se in it, but we really were just trying to get the idea, that sort of apathy across here, and it's sort of sets up the cultural and the cultural divide and the just the separation between where these two people are.
Right. Were there a lot of edits here in terms of breaking up, like any cuts in terms of that, or was it just continuously running on this part of it?
There aren't a whole lot of cuts in it. We did take cuts from parts that we maybe didn't think initially would fit together, but actually tell the story a little better
Right.
in this way, which is a lot of times the way of things. When you get to the editing process and you start putting things together that you didn't think would fit together, and all of a sudden it's sort of like Legos.
Without me, there is no deal.
Yeah, so you end up having this excess of raw footage. I mean, I think we had a lot more raw footage than this 23 minutes that we ended up with, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, you like this visual scene that's going on here with the setup inside the cab?
I do. You get the continual apathy here, but also you get the setup with you know, the trinkets that are hanging near the meter, and it just that sort of helps set that. It continues to set up the difference here.
Takeovers of failing technology companies.
Yeah, I guess there's so much information coming at you that you're taking in that even just those little visual cues are helpful.
Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty much what Great Britain did
It's,
to you guys.
It's again another reiteration of the divide here.
Right.
What?
Sounds like lose-lose.
Yeah, they're about as far apart as any two people can be at this moment.
Yeah, and Dick's apathy, it's funny because he's oblivious to it. He doesn't even, I don't think he even gets that he's being apathetic. It's just his manner. It's how he is.
He's extremely focused. He sees what he sees, and he doesn't see anything beyond that. So everything else is just en route to whatever he's doing.
Yeah, he's inward looking, but not in sort of an inward, not a introspective kind of way, but just simply selfish kind of way.
Right.
And stiffing a little bit on the tip.
Now this camera work here. What were your thoughts on Jim's camera stuff? And
I think it's Jim Webb, the cinematographer, was really great with this. He shot it with a Panasonic HVX 200 with a film lens adapter on it. I'll come back to that in just a second. This section here,
Listen, did you get that fax?
I think the edits emphasize that. Obviously, besides his behavior, I think the edits emphasize that he's really going over the edge here.
Yeah, you've got a lot of cuts. Yeah. How does that achieve?
What are you thinking, man?
Well, it's a lot of different takes that we're stringing together here that aren't necessarily meant to be 100% linear. Although it sort of, looked at it in total, it could be taken as a linear scene, but it's not necessarily meant to be second to second, here's what's going on. Just more like a sort of general sense of this guy is losing it right now.
So he might have been having this conversation for 30 minutes outside of the airport, and
exactly. Yeah.
That's kind of cool though, how you achieve, like, it still feels like a continuous conversation, but you also do feel like it could be you're just getting a snippet of a much longer conversation.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's
That's what we were shooting
what
for.
you were going for there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The workflow in this was really great. It's a great looking picture with that camera and the lens adapter and the film lenses on it.
214 Meadow Lane.
But also, there weren't any.
Very good.
There wasn't any film because it's a digital camera.
Right.
There weren't even any tapes. We simply plugged a cable in, and that's
Wow.
that was the footage.
Wow.
Which is sort of one of the ways of doing things now. I mean, quite honestly, at our facility here, we make like a couple of tapes a month anymore. We've done in the last 3 months for one client, we've done 40 or 50 spots and made one tape. Everything else is just all digital.
So you've seen that digital over the course of all of your years of doing this. You've seen that transformation happen from tape to digital.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think film is going to be replaced 100% anytime soon. You can still do a lot of things with film, get some looks that you can't quite get with digital. But
what are those differences there? How does that show up from your eye? What do you see?
Well, what you do get with this, with the lens adapter, which brings us closer to film, or that look, a more cinematic feel anyway, is this sort of, they are film lenses, so there's the glass is a good quality glass in the lens, and it lends it more to that same kind of look when you're using the same glass and the two different kinds of camera.
Right.
The film itself has more latitude in it. It can hold more. It has more latitude, more light, and more color.
More range. Okay.
Than digital, but this is pretty good. I mean,
yeah, it was funny because we had this this release party for it just a few weeks ago at Bootstrap Film Fest, and I was amazed at how good it looked on the big screen. I mean, having only seen it on the small screen, all our editing sessions and everything else, and oh my gosh, it looked beautiful.
It is.
Are you laughing at Dick again?
I'm feeling the wind. I'm seeing the river, breathing deeply and taking in the sunset.
It was when we were editing this, there was quite a bit of back and forth when we were editing it. I think you probably remember it with Mills also about which pieces to use to tell the story without having it go on too long and be excessive.
Yeah, this was, I think, the hardest thing we did. We just did multiple takes of this thing.
Yeah,
we couldn't. We just had to. And what this is a composite result of all those takes. Yeah, which is why it's like great to see it as one seamless thing.
One of the things I like about Jim's camera work is it's the way that he moves in and moves out, and it's not, even though the focus of a shot may be one particular area, it's not locked off. So you get this a little more sort of documentary style.
Other than in conversations with my passengers, I do not.
He's really good at picking up those moments.
People make a lot of money.
Is that from latitude? His camera just has a lot of latitude. It can move in and out.
Well, part of it is that it's a small camera.
Okay.
Which is, it's great to be able to have a camera that you can get this kind of quality result with. That's not huge, like a big Panavision camera package or something. You can move around in a car with this kind of small camera. But also, partly, it's actually a shooting style. A little zooming in, zooming out.
Keep on moving. Keep looking forward. Shit starts to happen.
Yeah, like right here, he's right up in his.
Yeah.
In his face.
Pulls back a little here, and sometimes it takes several takes.
I'll be thinking about it.
To find that right moment. Here's where the music starts coming in, and this is the music that Lance Keltner provided.
That's right.
Which sort of marries East and West, would you say?
It was amazing because he and I sat down, and he has a spiritual teacher in India and all this other stuff, so he knew exactly what we were locking onto, and literally over the course of a couple of hours, he just, I said, here's what I think we're going for, and then literally I came over to your offices, and the pieces, the things just you found just like you just
write little snippets, yeah.
They seem to slot right in.
Yeah, I think we were really fortunate with this process of having things just sort of fall into place. Having stepped away from it for a little while and then coming back to look at it, I'm really pleased with the result. I mean, I think it's a really nice story that I think we've spoken about that it could be expanded on.
Yes.
But it's a nice
yes.
sort of encapsulation of the story.
Yes.
And I think great camera work. We didn't need a lot of color correction. The colors are beautiful. I mean, the light bloomed in some places, and it was just how the shooting style, how that occurred, and we just didn't. We looked at it and said, "Are we concerned with it?" And actually, we weren't. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Something else I did with the titles is in places it's just white on black, but to leave the title either up over some other footage as the next scene comes in, or have it start on footage and then I think there's a couple places it might have cut to black. This scene here was really tricky.
I'm calling for Grover Smith. This is Richard Seymour.
Is this because you're trying to get these dialogue going back and forth? They're not in the same place anymore.
Exactly. It's
I wanted to thank you. It really
it wasn't really a linear.
Most excellent.
There was no real linear conversation that either
I've
person
completely retired from the
could
soulless banking business, and
track.
I've
So we
dedicated my
tracked
life
Dick's
to helping
conversation here.
I
We did
volunteer
trap
at
a few bits and
hospitals.
pieces out here and there.
I'm a part-time tutor for the Boys and Girls Club. And
So
on
mostly,
weekends,
this is
I
Dick,
attend
and
the
then
community
Grover's
garden
coming
out
in
at Sustainable
Correct.
to
Foods.
Dick's conversation.
A life of service.
Do you usually pick that, or do you, or is
And
there
how can I
sometimes
be
when you do
helping?
like equivalent, or is it just you really want to follow one of these conversations?
No, I don't think it's. I don't think it necessarily needs to be either. Like I said, we cut Dick up some. This cut here, what we're looking at, we just cut into a different part of a different
Such a
take.
waste of my
Oh,
true
okay.
talents. I'm now
But I think
assisting people on their spiritual
it
journey.
worked best this way
Did I
to
tell you
move the
once?
story forward.
I will come
But I
pick you
like
up.
how
When is your appointment?
watching
Thursday morning, 10 o'clock.
Thursday,
Grover.
10 a.m. Very well. I'll pick
the
you up at your
cuts. I mean, it seems like he's telling one continuous story, but there's a lot of cuts in it. It's like
right.
it seems like it makes sense in real time, but when you look at the edits, he's doing lots of different things, and it couldn't possibly happen like that in real time.
Right.
So for him to be talking like that, not in real time, while it appears that Dick is in real time, is kind of. It was fun to do.
That's a very cool effect. Well, I mean, that's something I'm seeing that you've multiply done in this thing, and like, because in a longer format, you can just sort of let the conversation flow, whereas here you're having to do this double work
Yeah.
from each of the scenes. Let it express a longer conversation that you're coming in to something only as a snippet, but at the same time let that not be discontinued. Like, let that flow. So what about that? Go ahead. You're going to say something more about this.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just going back about that whole choice about that's the only part, the one we just saw where there's the window, and not only the two windows, but then the amount of window for each character changed over the course of the scene.
Yeah, we looked at that, and we decided that it was just more interesting visually to not keep it the same the whole time. I mean, there's no rules for it, so why not mix it up some?
Mm-hmm.
We also did a couple of little fun sound design things in here with the music.
Oh, really? What were those?
Oh, it's just like a little audio filter in it to make it sound like it's coming from the car, and as you get
Yes,
closer to the car, it sounds like it's coming from it. I mean, my main strength isn't necessarily sound design, but it was fun to do some of that on this also.
Yes.
So,
That's
cool, because this is sort of Grover's theme music in a sense. So he's kind of playing it in his car, literally, right?
yeah. The other thing I love about Dick's character that we saw before when he stumbled on the sidewalk.
Yes.
This part coming up in here where he's just so. Since he's had this transformation, he's just. He just disregards the seatbelt.
Yeah.
And drives off.
It's so funny because he's so regardless. He does not regard the physical world in the same way that he was disregarding it before, but it's from a completely different point of place.
Exactly, and he doesn't. It doesn't bother him.
He doesn't know. Yeah, right.
And he's
He's like, yeah, going with the flow.
He's sort of an innocent now.
Right. I mean, that's the real reversal we're seeing. Grover's become very calculating. I mean, the only reason he picked him up is so he could get him to get all his rich friends to show up. And of course, the role reversal in the car.
Yeah.
Dick now driving Grover to his appointment with Michael Dell.
Large prize, but for such great wisdom. I do think that my old friends need to hear the word.
But he never loses that intensity. I mean, that's something
My
that
words,
just
Mr. Dick.
James has
They
that
must hear my
complete like
words.
intensity of.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, the role reversal is really, you really get the completeness of it here.
Why is
Especially
that?
with
Let me
Grover,
wait here for you,
his
and I'll reschedule
talking
my
about
colleagues
my
for another
words.
day.
I mean, you really get the
Uh-huh.
sense that now
Fantastic.
he's the apathetic one.
Here's my cell phone. Contact your friends, eh?
Right. You're right. I never. Right. He's the one that's just like now just sailing through everything,
Exactly. And
losing sight of what's really going on.
yeah.
Yeah, and here even worse. Of course, he's just you can see he's got like 16 appointments stacked on top of each other. He's constantly checking his PDA or whatever. Now, what about the lighting in here? Because that that one take came in from the side entrance to the Driscoll, and then
Yeah, we talked back and forth about if we were going to do anything more drastic with the color correction as far as the lighting. Some of it was a little darker, and some of it the light bloomed. And I think we just decided that the colors are really rich, and it's we did minimal color correction on it to balance a few shots, but it was also, I think, Grover, and this is sort of metaphorical, I think. There was some conversation about him being in the dark,
yes, right.
so it wasn't necessary to
Look in the mirror and I can hardly
to bring that up
recognize
anymore.
myself. All right, I'm sorry. What about you? How are you, teacher?
And next month I announce my new book on Oprah.
Really? What book is that?
So again, here same
Enjoy
thing.
every
This is
moment.
not one. This is not the
There's
one
that bloody
take. This
waiter,
is
the service around here
this
is
is
just
again a
terrible.
fusion of multiple takes.
Yeah, and
You don't seem very
throughout different parts in the script, I think there were times when we strayed from what was written on the paper, but
Yeah.
we kept the correct sense of the story.
How could I not be joyful?
I like how Grover's now kind of manic with the little manic laugh, sort of like Dick was at the beginning.
Somehow it feels empty. I haven't walked around the lake in many months. I haven't seen my children on account of the speaking engagements. Somehow cab driving doesn't
I like
seem so
Jim's
bad
work
after
where he
all.
tilts down to the hands, and you get some stuff that isn't necessarily right in someone's face, or
Yeah, I was just noticing that he really he got to the hands quite a bit. And
Yeah.
I want to be serving all people.
conveys a
I'll
lot.
tell you something, Grover. Serving all people isn't what it's cracked up to be. I mean, look at me, for God's sakes. I spend half my life waiting for that damn Metro bus. I stink like the soup kitchen. This hemp is terrible.
It's funny though, because in some places during the film
This vegan crap, man.
we've stayed in a long take. This is one of those places.
Sometimes I just
And,
want big, thick juices.
You know, I think when it suited the piece to continue in one take, we were comfortable doing that. It doesn't have to be, an edit every half second.
Yeah.
We're comfortable letting it roll out if it serves
You went
the
too far to
purpose.
the other
Yes.
extreme. And taking care of everyone, your Somalians and your Boy Scouts and your old people, and not yourself. You are totally out of balance.
Yeah, I'm out of balance, huh? What about you, man? You live in a mansion? You have a different colored Lexus for
How
every
do
day.
you
You're
see the
constantly
energy of this
dining
whole
in these
piece
fancy
at this
restaurants.
point?
Now, how many
Is
of your
crescendoing?
sons have you been banging
Like how
today?
you sort of seeing this whole
Think I
from
trusted
your
you?
perspective, or
Precisely the problem. Everyone's looking to me for the answers when they
That's a
gotta
good
find
question.
their own. That's what my father told me many years
It
ago.
It's
doesn't
interesting
necess-
because this scene has sort of
People
two
need to learn
kinds
how
of
to trust
energies. There's
themselves. Why cannot
the
they see this?
the energy from the color and the setup is
Right.
very sort of serene.
yes, and very subdued.
It is, but you also get this energy from both of these guys which it sort of it ebbs here, and the music comes in. But before, when they were really both sort of energized, it's sort of this dichotomy of energy. You get coming from them a lot of energy, but also the surroundings very peaceful
Yeah,
and subdued, like you say. But now the music really reinforces
My problem is
their
I'm not
the
reaching
sort of
people that could really use
thoughtful,
this
or
message.
being a little introspective,
Living normal lives.
and really sort of connecting and sharing.
You just broaden your market, target a segment, generate a market.
maybe for the first time. Well, I mean, they had that brief moment of connecting in the second act, second
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
I'm not knowing how to do that.
Was that in the taxi when he gets out?
Right, he says, "Hey, you should do this for a living," and they
Yeah.
shake hands, and
Exactly.
you're on your journey, kind of thing.
I have no idea how to do
It's funny because the original motivation, you and I talked about this, and we worked together on how to make the original title which was guru or disciple question mark yes, fit into really what the Mystic Cab. But that really was the original, thing about this whole thing. For me, it was this focus on duality and how duality creates things and tension, and then we resolve tension. And what I've been constantly learning through this process is that there's so many elements in which that's operating. Like listening to you about the way the music comes together, the visual aspects, that tension's all playing itself out visually too. Maybe that's why it works well, because you, as an audience member, it's the form of the piece is consistent with what it's trying to do.
So about this scene, this was something that was like a setup for what might be a commercial.
Right.
We had sort of, I think, a happy accident in that the background is fairly flat. So we were able to sort of slip this alternate world in as if they had actually, well, you'll see as it comes in just a minute. It's sort of like they're practicing for a commercial here.
Yes.
We do not have the answers. We help
And
you
this is
find
something that you might go back in later and cut up in the real world. If you were going to put a commercial together, you shoot a bunch of stuff, you cut it together. Here we slide some graphics in.
That was cool.
The color correction changes, the richer colors, crushed blacks. We've got some of the. We mocked up the book here, which was great.
You've got a Hong Kong building in there. That's cool.
Yeah, there are pictures from throughout the world. I've always wanted to call it 1-800 Journey. I wonder if you remember that. But MysticCab.com that's your site, right?
Yeah. That's the site. Yeah.
And now we've got the titles in the background also.
That's very cool. I'm gonna have to use that when we actually write that book, The Joy of Every Moment. We're gonna have to use your book title there. That's a wonderful cover design you did.
It's funny when in this piece when the director said cut, I just cut everything out of the background and went back to this.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And I love the end of this because it lingers a little bit, which is, I love it.
Yeah.
And then you're done.
Right. In a way, it's not over. It's still going. They're still in their process.
Yeah. Oh, and credits. Again, I like the use of the negative space and the placement of they're very simple titles, but
I just love that Mystic Cab and then the AKA, just the way that visually looks is perfect.
It was a lot of fun. I'm glad we've had a chance to go back and look at this again also.
Yeah, it is interesting to have some time after you've done something and come back to it and then still see that it resonates. And it's been so much fun going back and forth and working with you on this.
Yeah, thanks for letting me do it.
Oh, thanks for helping us out.